Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, okay.
There
we go. Moedim l'simcha, everyone. Chol Pesach. Yom Echad. L'Omer. Amazing. So we are holding Torah Kimerachim Minagim. This is Torah Zayin, the second Chelek of Likutey Moharan. We decided to say that in order to be able to lead, the person has to be Baal Racham, has to be a Rachaman. Someone who has real compassion. And this is such a Rachaman has to have the ability, first of all, to have the compassion, and secondly, he has to know, how to behave with the Rachmanis. It's not just, listen, he's a patsy, whatever it is you say, and he's into it. No, that's not the point. The point is that he has to know who he should have Rachmanis on, and who not, because you're not allowed to have Rachmanis on murderers or Gazlonim, that's not Rachmanis. This is actually, that's cruelty, because you have Rachmanis on Chas v'Chalila on the murder, and he goes out and he kills somebody. Thank you very much. I mean, you are Rachman on somebody you're not supposed to Rachmanis on. He ended up being cruel on somebody you need to Rachmanis for. So that's one thing. Second thing, that's to know how to have Rachmanis on everybody. Rabbeinu gave an example. A baby, you have to give, 25 grams of milk or whatever it is, and somebody was, was a grown up, is supposed to give him whatever it is that he needs to have. And then the Rebbe says that the main Rachmanis, a main Rachaman like this, the epitome of Rachmanis that a leader needs to have is Moshe Rabbeinu. Is Moshe Rabbeinu. Is Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu had Rachmanis on Am Yisrael. He totally gave himself over, totally serious nefesh, and Moshe understood. Thank you. The main Rachmanis Moshe Rabbeinu had is to fill this world with real human beings. Real human beings means that people that have das and not have.
Kosher Pesach, no? No kidney.
Let's put it down, because it's a recording it's recording live from the machine itself. And also recording the fitness and the wrestling of the bags and everything. So it's part of the Torah that we're learning. Baruch Hashem. Rachmanis gives das people. The main das that people need to have is Hashem Elokim, and this world is just just passing through. We're just passing through, closing it and then opening it. The Rebbeinu says that the Rachmanis of Moshe Rabbeinu stemmed from not just the fact that Moshe Rabbeinu was a nice guy. Obviously he was. But that wasn't it. The point is that Moshe Rabbeinu had the real das. He knew that Am Yisrael, they emanate from the highest level of creation, from Kisa Kodesh. And being that the emanated from Kislev, it means that a virus, the virus is the greatest impediment a Jewish neshama can have. Bar none.
What's the greatest impediment?
Virus, that's the biggest. That's the biggest load, the biggest impediment, the biggest handicap that the Jew can have. After we talk, because the Jews are so spiritual, their essence is so godly that they cannot handle the yoke, the burden of an Avera even for a minute. That's why when Beis Hamikdash was standing, so there was Tamid of the morning and Tamid of the evening. So the Tamid of the morning was Mechabed the Averes that occurred during the night, and the Tamid of the evening was Mechabed the Averes that were done during the day. So Am Yisrael were always, every single day, were clean from any burden of any Averes. Am Yisrael is supposed to be Medubak in the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And in order to do this, they cannot have the burden of any Avera whatsoever. So that's the biggest Rahmanas from everything. So this is Hashem Maskil down. Fortunate is he who educates, gives seichel to the impoverished. I should give him money. What do you mean Maskil down? What do you mean giving seichel? This is because the biggest Rahmanas is not poverty or money. You should help, whatever it is, everything. But the biggest Rahmanas is from the Das, and only Elamina Das, says the Gemara. The big poverty is when a person doesn't have Das. That the Kodesh Baruch Hu, Hashem Elokim, that the clock is ticking, and there is only one true career in this world, which is getting closer to the Baruch Hu. Everything else just takes you away from the main aim of a person's life. I don't care if they have a career as an amazing composer, or have an amazing career as a sculptor, or a painter, or a great leader, or Caesar, or whatever it is you want. He plays baseball or basketball or whatever people have career there. If these are not serving you coming close to Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's a waste of life, basically. That's what it is. Especially so now the Rebbe goes to the next level. This is Seif Dalet of Torah Zayin Likutey Moharan II. ואפילו כשמגיע זמנו להסתלק, person, has lived his life and it's time for him to pass away. But neshama oilo midabekes mimakom sheoilo. The neshama goes up and it cleaves to the place where it cleaves. The oilo mesalionim in the upper realms, It says even then, ein zeh tachlis hashleimus. That's not the epitome of perfection. The neshama rak b'kalamala. The neshama will only be connected above. Now, in Sichas Harad, the Rebbe says something very, very explosive, in the sense that the Rebbe says that the fact that the person has already passed for Olam Hazeh, he doesn't, he said that this world, this Alma de Shikra, this is the world of deceit. Olam Haba is called Olam HaEmes, right? The world of truth. He said, so the usual understanding of this is when a person goes from the Alma de Shikra, when he leaves this world, Where does it go? It goes to the world of truth. Rebbe says this is not true. Not yet. He says when the neshama goes out of this world, and that neshama lived its life under the illusion and delusion that this world is the tachlis of everything. It goes, and each and every one of us is nagua, is touched with a bechina of this. It comes to Olam Haba. The Olam Haba is first of all, there are many people who go to Olam HaTorah. Olam HaTorah lo aleinu v'lo aleichem is the world, is the realm. The neshama has no idea it passed away yet.
Doesn't Rebbe pull us out of that there?
Beseder, the Rebbe says, then it says, Shol tachas and tachta, that's Gehenna.
What?
That's Gehenna.
Pull us out of Gehenna?
He'll pick us out from Shol tachtas and tachta, from the deepest, levels of Gehenna. I'm talking about pre-Gehenna.
We won't pull out of that.
Beseder was Hashem, even knowing of Rabbeinu is already, that's what Rabbeinu says, a person needs to have, a connection to the tzaddik in this world, and especially in the next one. You need to have, this, when a person is connected to the tzaddik in the next world, he says, so what the neshama does in this world, Rabbeinu says, is it acquires levushim, it acquires garments, it has kalim, to be able to sustain and to receive the godly light of the Kodesh Baruch Hu. So this is possible only in this world. When it says that neshamas in the Olam Ha'elyon, they're running around naked, and they say, we're naked, and we're hungry and we're thirsty. So it says they'll be offered clothing. They'll be offered, I don't know what clothing they'll be offered. Food and drink. The difference is no. That's not the kind of clothing and sustenance that we need. We need the clothing of mitzvahs. We need to put a drink of mishnayos and tehillim, and these are kelim. Without the neshama is naked. But even when a person went through all this, and he says there are many neshamas that are roaming around in Olam Haba, that their role, they cannot find resting place for themselves. Whenever a new neshama comes up, so they hakim a China. He says, don't go there. Nobody knows where he is. Forget about it. They're confusing a person. Rabbeinu says the person needs huge siyata d'shmaya and a strong connection to the tzaddik in Olam Haba to be able to finally come to his final resting place. Only then, when a person reaches his own personal resting place, then it's called Olam Ha'emes. Until then, even though he's no longer in the body, he's still Olam Hashikra. He said the world of the seat. So that's why he said, okay, I'll come, I learned.
He's not in the body. He's not in the body, right?
No, it's not in the body. It's not
He's still in Olam Hashikra?
Yeah.
Not here, not there.
It's not he's there, but the point is he's not in Olam Ha'emes. He's still being confused and klippus and the shomas that were rejected and given all kinds of song and dance that don't go there. He's still discombobulated. This is the Baal Kaplan explains in the kafakela. He says kafakela means that the neshama is being slung from one end of existence to the other. So he says this is because when a person is in this world, at certain times he's interested in this, and certain times he's interested in that. So we have already a built-in mechanism that allows us. Now I'm interested in eating. Now I'm interested in the baseball game. Now I'm interested in people giving me COVID. Now, in other words, we have this ability in this world to basically have a tunnel vision. This is what I care about now. Okay, now I care about this. Now I care about this. Now I care about this. Now, the good mood, the bad mood. Says all these tones disappear. So the entire spectrum of a person's interests in this world is exposed in one fell swoop. So he is immediately in this way and in this way, in the baseball game and in the eating and in the tivus and in the, all over. This is oil mechanism. Shem Yirachem, what kind of Rahmanas this is on the neshama. But listen, before Gehenna is already the last tikkun. Once this is the neshamas have to be worthy of getting into Gehenna, because Gehenna means that's the last correction. Shem Yetzilenu. What could be worse than that? Worse than that, a person doesn't even know that he passed away.
How can he not know?
Because he doesn't know.
When you're not with the same people you were with, you're not with the junior.
Like, look, Rabbeinu told the Maisa to explain what the oil matter. There was once a Rav, and this Rav, he had an acquaintance. And they made an agreement, the Kiyaskav, the handshake, on they will come, the first one will leave this world, will come back and tell the other one, what happened with him. So this Rav passed away. And the person that he gave the Kiyaskav, the handshake, also passed away. And he told his son about it. He said, look, and he's giving him as a Yerusha, whatever it is. The Kiyaskav he gave it to Rav. Well, he himself isn't going to pass away, so he'll come to you and he'll tell you. And this son, gave the Kiyaskav to his son. In other words, the person never came. The Rav never came. 28 years later, by the grandson, this is a very different place. The Rav comes in a dream, and he tells him what happened. He said that the day that he passed away, he had no idea. Once he passed away, he had no idea that he passed away. All he knows is that they took him to Besachaim, they put him in shrouds, and they put him in the ground. And he said he didn't understand what the heck they want from him. Perfectly healthy, everything is okay. What are you taking in shroud, put him in the ground? What's going on? He says, but there were many people, so he couldn't fight City Hall, he couldn't fight everybody. So they put him in the ground and they covered him up. And then they went away. So then he came out. He came out of his grave. But that's what the Rav told the grandson. He says, came out of the grave. And so he was not far from town. That was the graves, the graveyard that was outside. So he says, but how can you get into town dressed in shrouds? People are going to freak out. How can you do that? So he saw somebody passing there who was a merchant of used clothing. So he came to him and he says, let's exchange. I'll give you these shrouds. These shrouds are brand new, never used. You give me some normal clothing, and I'll be able to get into town. Okay. So the peddler agreed, and he gave him the shrouds, and he gave him some clothing. He put the clothing in, and he went to town. So it wasn't his town. It was some other town. So he got there, and he was hungry. So he went to a restaurant, some kind of was it coinomatic they had in the 60s that you put coins in the thing and what was it called?
Yeah, much machine.
Automat, what is it called?
Cafeteria, maybe.
I don't know, whatever it is. It was an automat, whatever it is. I mean, you came in there and there were these little cubicles with money that you open up. There were sandwiches in the 60s. Early 60s. Anyhow, he went to his room and he said, go home. He wants to eat. And he told me and ordered some food. So they told him, do you have money? No. He said, if you don't have money, you can't eat. What do you think this is? It's a social. You want to eat, you have to pay money. He didn't want to eat, they chased him out. So he went outside, he didn't know what to do. And then he saw two people that had an argument between them. This old Rabbeinu says, it's a secret, that they came to him, and they were in an argument. This one says this one says that. And so they came to him, and they asked him if you can paskin for them, who's right. So he paskin a din Torah, a real true din Torah. And when it was done, so one of them gave him a couple of coins. Schal tircha. The Dayan is not supposed to receive, money from it. Anyhow, so he took this money and he went back to the restaurant because he wanted to order money. Then came a shliach of Beis Din. And he says, what is this? Somebody comes here, a stranger comes, and Paskins a real din Torah. What's going on here? And they say you have to search him to see maybe he received a bribe. And they searched him, they found the money on him. They took him to Beis Din. When they took him to Beis Din, somebody came and says, okay, and now he suffered already enough. You can let him go. And then he was free. This was Oile Matori. As far as he was concerned, it all took half an hour, an hour. It was 28 years. In this world time. Is the Oile Matori. He had no idea that he passed away. Just knew that things, just like
But he was physically seen.
the thing is that everything was Oil Mabah. But it was basically Oil Mabah means the person doesn't know that he passed away. And it's like he goes, there's the very famous story that Rabbeinu said about the Menachem Mendel from Vitebsk, Talmud of the Magid, was the Rebbe of the Balatanya. He went to Israel. He went to Israel, lived in Israel. They said that there was no food, there was no parnas in Israel. But they sent a messenger to go collect it in Chutz La'aretz. And the person sent, but a Bechochem, and a businessman, a Tichtiger, somebody who could, a mover and shaker. I mean, he could do things, he could arrange things, not somebody a shlemaz or whatever. And they sent him. And while on the ship, he passed away. Nobody known, passed away. So the Rebbe says that after he passed away, he went to Oil Matori. You're talking about the Talmud or Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk. Menachem Mendel Vitebsk trusted him to go and collect money for the Yeshiva Yisrael. You're not talking about a Katlakan, you're not talking about a loser, but somebody who El Chayid. He goes and he's in Almabo. What does he see? He's on a wagon and he has some helpers with him. He had a secretary and somebody was writing. And they're going, on business. They're going from town to town, they're going, they're coming to there, they're doing business. He's buying, he's selling, he's another time, he's buying, he's selling. Suddenly, they're going to make this big deal in a certain town. Suddenly he thinks of his Rebbe. And so he says to those people who work for him, he thought they were working for him. This was really chitzainim. This was really, the demons, and they were just fooling him. They were just leading him, through the steps, through the moves. And he thought that he was their boss, he was telling them what to do, they did, whatever it is. So he says, okay, so he's thinking of his Rebbe. He says, okay, let's let go everything go. I want to go to my Rebbe. But they start telling him, what are you talking about? We're in the middle of a big business deal, it's like a huge deal, whatever it is. What are you talking about? Go to your Rebbe now. He says, okay, you're right. And they keep them going. And then it comes to his mind again. He wants to go to his Rebbe. So he says, no, I want to stop. I want to go to Rebbe. He says, no, stop. What are you talking about? And it's just like the deal is like, at your fingertips. Just go ahead and finish it. He said, no, I want to go to my Rebbe. So start arguing with him. No, we're not taking it to your Rebbe. What do you mean, don't take me to my Rebbe? You're working for me. I'm telling you, taking my Rebbe. It's your business, it's my business deal. Okay, if I want to give him, I'll give him up. I want to go to my Rebbe. Okay, at this point in time, there were a few of them that were supposedly working with, they had no choice. And they told him, because he wanted to go to his Rebbe, they told him that he already passed away. So he says, if that's the case, Bevada he wants to go to his Rebbe. So, two of them went with him. The man says that, this story. So two of them went with him, and they went to the house of Nachman Mendel Vitebsk in Tveria, where he lived. And one of the Mechabim, one of the stayed outside. One came in with him to Nachman Mendel Vitebsk. And when Nachman Mendel Vitebsk saw it, the Mazik, he fainted. And when he got up, he told the people around him that messenger that they sent passed away on the ship. And it took him 8 days to fix this neshama. 8 days to fix the neshama. So you can imagine, this is Olam Atayu, Eli Chayid, that was from the Chabura of Nachman Mendel of Vitebsk. The Rebbe said how important it is to have connection to the tzaddik in Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba. He says because the tzaddik is so strong, there's such big koyach in Olam Haba, even in the Shomer is totally naked, doesn't have any levushim of mitzvahs. The tzaddik can go and throw a malbush, an article, a clothing article, ruchnis, on the neshama, so it can be dressed. The connected tzad is completely 100% crucial to our faith. Now, when we're talking over here is a person already went through everything. He already got to the tzaddik, he overcame everything, the olam hatoyu, whatever it is he had to go through, he toibled through now, the whole thing. He already came, and finally he came to his final resting place. Now he's really in Olam Emes. And it says this is still not perfection. No, so what is perfection? What else do you need? So he said, like, the main perfection of the neshama is that the time when it is above, when it cleaved, it is, I don't know how to say, cleave and clove, I don't know what you're saying. It's connected to to its place above, Olam Ha'emes, it also has to be in this world. The neshama needs to be present in Olam Haba and Olam Hazeh at the same time. Well, you have to admit that's quite a feat. Doesn't have a body anymore. How can he be in this world? Right? Already he went through all the trials and tribulations, all the neshamas that tried to fool him, all the mechamazikim that, Hashem Yirachim, whatever it is, everything, it went over, everything already got to its final resting place in Olam Ha'emes. Now you say, yeah, but that's not perfection. It has to be in this world too. Wow. You took me away from this world. Okay, so the Rebbe says, okay, so how do you do it? How you can be in both places at the same time? The Rebbe says, okay, that's why is to leave behind blessing. What is it? Ben or Talmud. Has to leave behind either a son or a student. So that his mind, his das, which means every single person has his own particular tfisa of his connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and his own particular gilui to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, his own particular eitzes of how to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what to do when you're not successful, how to get up when you fall. Each one of us has his own, and this he has to give over. Whatever it is that you learned in this world, you have to give over. This is your das. How to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the only das there is. A person, a professor for metaphysics, that doesn't mean anything. The person was so talented that he invented the missile that can be shot. Das Amiti is the das to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's a das. And you're supposed to leave behind either a son that is filled with his das, or a talmid, a student that is filled with his das. So that his mind, his das, will be here in this world. At the same time, simultaneously, while his neshama is above him. Now the Rebbe brings a pasuk, and this pasuk embodies that particular thing the Rebbe says now. This is in Baba Basra, Tafkut Kuftet Zayin. The pasuk Asher En Chalifos Lomoi. He talks about the wicked people that they don't have substitutes. They are like, they're irreplaceable. It's not, they didn't leave, anybody to come from the bench. It's kind of the game for them. En Khalifas Lamoy, Lo Yeru Elokim. This is their shine. They have no. There's no somebody to stand in for them, and they don't fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Lo Yeru Elokim. So now the Gemara says, what are we talking about? That they have no substitute. What is the proper standing? What is the substitute? So the Baba Chazal is Chad Amar Ben. One of the Chomad Moran said, what's a substitute? A son. You have to be, son it comes from the moach of the father. It's a very, very high connection. And he has a das of his father, whatever. That's a proper substitute. And the other there says, no, a student is good enough. Student learned from him, this is good enough. So the pasuk comes to teach us that somebody who doesn't leave behind a substitute, in other words, somebody that will fill his role, will fill his place, is not called Yireh Elokim. Is not called a true Yireh Elokim. Somebody that has the title, the name tag. He's Yireh Shamayim. You say, well, what's the big deal? He has a tag name of Yireh Shamayim. What's the? You should know the Baal Tanya did the Chofetz Chaim. He was a Lithuanian Jew. And Nusach Ashkenaz, they don't put film Rabbeinu Tam. Halacha is Rashi, so they put only Rashi. At the end of his days, the Chofetz Chaim started putting on Tefillin Rabbeinu Tam. Ask him. Why are you doing that? So he told them, Shulchan Aruch says that just let them know that it needs to be a little bit quiet. He said, the Shulchan Aruch that halacha is Tefillin Rashi, and not Rabbeinu Tam. It says, "V'yireh Shamayim," somebody who is God fearing, yoytze yedei shneihem. He should be yoytze, should put both Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu told us, he wants all the bachrim from the age 13 and on, only to both Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. So they asked him, so what did it say? He says, because being Shulchan Aruch says that Yireh Elohim, somebody who is God-fearing, puts on both film to be Yotze B'Holy. So he says, I want that B'Shamayim, this is when he passes away, that he will have the moniker, the Shulchan Aruch says, Yireh Shamayim. Person was Yireh Shamayim, he's called Yireh Shamayim. He suddenly put both this and that. Because I want to have this moniker that the will Shamayim, they'll tell me, he's Yireh Shamayim. Because he puts both. In other words, to have the moniker of Yireh Shamayim is a big deal. Okay, it's a big thing. So anybody who's not called who's known as Yireh Elohim, and this is a machlok between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. That somebody has to leave, person has to leave somebody behind, a substitute. That's what it says. One of them says Ben. I guess this is Rabbi Yochanan. Talmud, as Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, we're talking about a Talmud. So the person needs to leave behind him somebody who will be in his stead. In that, he's making sure that his das will be in Oil Mabo, and Oil Mazia also at the same time after the Talmud. So Rabbeinu said as follows: Talmud mekabel das haro. The Talmud is somebody who received the das of his Rebbe. The Gama Ben. So this is what is the Gama Ben? That he received the das Rebbe. So Bavada says it's not a huge spritz. En malish mishal ben Rasha that he leaves behind a son which is a Rosh Hashanah. Aikar Ashir ben Sheyabchinas Talmud. He should be a Talmud. In other words, the son not only he will be a son, but also you have an aspect of a student. When the son is behaving like the father wanted, that's Shekabel b'meinu sichel b'daito, that you will be mekabel from him his seichel and his das. What's the ikar? What's the main thing? What's the tafel? But the second man, the Omar says that die b'tomen bilvad. It's enough. A student doesn't have to be such a huge manifestation of his das. It's both, because the son is mamish, his father. Continues. Father Tanya says that there's an indelible connection between the mind of the father and the fingernail of the son. Fingernail, the toenail of the son. It's a direct connection between the toenail of the son to the brain of his father. Because the entire son comes out from his father's mind. It comes from his brain, right? When a person gives birth to a son.
It says it's three partners.
Beseder. But nevertheless, there's the Bible says that the connection between a father and a son, it's that the DNA that comes from there. It says there's a direct connection between the mind, the brain of the father, to the toenail. In other words, the highest level of the father, to the toenail of the son, to the lowest level of the son.
What was this? Under the Hefetayim put Rabbeinu Tam?
What?
Hefetayim put Rabbeinu Tam.
So, okay. So Chafetz Chaim said the Shulchan Aruch says okay, even though aloha is feeling the Rashi, he says v'yiresh shamayim, some the shamayim, you be both shitas, both are being time. So toward the end of this day, the Chofetz Chaim said he wants the shamayim. They will label him v'yiresh shamayim. They put also Rabbeinu Tam because somebody who's put both, it's called the Yerushalayim. Shulchan is called the Yerushalayim. He wants this moniker. So we're saying it's not just a breastplate, Joe, Schmo, whatever it is, a salesman, customer. It's a big thing. So, so now a Talmud is somebody who embodies the das of his Rebbe. A son was Mavada, is mamish with his father.
How come so many sons are different than their father?
Beseder. So that wasn't that different because they have their own perception. They have the das of the father, and then they develop their own das. That's the reason, that means the das of the father reverberates. It continues.
For example, I was never good at math. Some of my children are good at math.
No. It's that. So that's why you have two sheets. Some say the Rebbe will say, how people can be yaitz in that. Maybe he doesn't understand. I have talmidim. I don't have talmidim. What do you want from that? No. What do you do? So one sheet said there has to be such, a substitute. Be a son that has the das of his father. That's the main thing. Obviously, he has his own personality. But nevertheless, you understand that this is the this is Bavada says there's no mile, it's a Ben Rosh. But the main thing is to say so one shita says that the Talmud is good enough. Don't need to have such a identical hemshech. You know, to be considered to be a substitute, somebody who is in his stead, it's enough of a Talmud. Rabbi Levi says that's enough. Why? Because the main thing, what was the main thing? Main thing is his das, that his das will remain in the world. And that's why Talmud is good enough. The Dafka son, the old, you can have Talmidim that have more the das of his Rebbe than his son has. Right? So that the das is that as long as the das is there, that's the main thing. That his mind will remain in this world. When that person passes away, somebody knows a smidgen of the knowledge of Kodesh Baruch Hu. You're there, that person knows the main pleasure and joy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that we, from this world, sitting here, eating potato chips, if it's not Pesach, eating popcorn, this lower world, the God of the Kadosh Mois Baruch will make great, elevate the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a pleasure and joy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Kosov, it is said the Musaf of Yom L'Rosh Hashanah. He says, Avisa Tehilo Migusha Offer Mekutza Chomer. You wanted the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, saying the Kippur, who says, Hashanah is who we are, what are we? What are we bringing? This world, Muslims, man, and Shiniach, and whatever it is. But so we say in the tefillah of Yerushalayim, Avisa Tehilo, you wanted fame, you wanted, the revealing of your splendor, Begushe offer from pieces of air of sand, lump of sands, those who are being made from Chamer. Shem Yisbarach Yeshlo Shofim v'Chayos v'Ifonim v'Olam Hashem Yodim. Kodesh Baruch Hu has chayos and funny. He has angels in Olam Abriya and Olam Yitzira, and even the Olam Asiya. There's a phone which is called Galgalin. Someone should let them know that we don't have. I'm sorry, we don't have a microphone. Everything will be in the. People will be listening to it. So it says that the Kodesh Baruch Hu has malachim and srafim and all the elements. They know Kodesh Baruch Hu much more than them. They serve Kodesh Baruch Hu much more than we do. Million times more than we have. The main thing, the main pleasure and joy of Kodesh Baruch Hu. When avodah from this low world goes up to Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's the main joy of Kodesh Baruch Hu. Because all the malachim, each one according to their madrega, they know a Kodesh Baruch Hu. It's like when somebody, let's say someone in this world that doesn't know what is the Kodesh Baruch Hu this, the Kodesh Baruch Hu that, Kodesh Baruch Hu exists, it doesn't exist, what's there? So once a person starts davening, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu answers him, he gives him what he wants. Oh, now you have a shtickle idea. You know that the Kodesh Baruch Hu is. It's not so theoretical. It's Lamaisa, you ask him and he answers you. But nevertheless, there are all different kind of things that contribute to a state of confusion in this world. If this happened, why that happened, with this one, with that. We don't realize that everything that happens to us, the Kodesh Baruch Hu does everything. We don't realize that whatever Kodesh Baruch Hu, whatever happens to us is for the good. It says that Chas v'Chalila, a person has, hears a bad news, says dynamics. Yeah, once Kodesh Baruch Hu did it, it's for sure good. What do you mean dynamics? The answer is that in this world that is so concealed, it's so blacked out that when you make a bracha, you believe. We believe there's akol toiv vaday. But when you say a bracha, you have to say a bracha according to where you are, because you don't see. At that moment, you don't see how good this is. You believe it's good. You believe that it's for the good. You know it's good will come out of it. Right? So the bracha you have to make it. You have to know what you know, not what you believe. The malachim, they know already much more. That the Kodesh Baruch Hu answers you. The malachim knows, 100 different things that prove that the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And the higher malachim knows 1,000 different things that they know. And the malachim above them, gazillion different things. In other words, they are so aware of the Mitzvah Kodesh Baruch Hu that their avodah is not a big deal. I mean, duh. There's a fire, somebody runs away. Oh, he's very smart. A fire is burning, he's running away. What do you expect him to do? No, he's special. He's so wise. He wasn't the fire. The fire, right by him, and he ran away. Wow. That's no das. I mean, that's not a gedula. Dafka in this world. When you don't know, when you don't see, you keep on going, you keep on going. Dafka, then he says, Avita Tila Megusha Ofar Megutze Chomer. It's Kashem Mizbach, Yesh Lo Sofim, V'chayos, V'yifonim, V'olmes Elyonim. They're all serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he says, Afal Pichen, the main pleasure, the main joy of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Dafka, this world, with the avodah from this world, this lower realm, where it is Rubai Ra, the main is bad. Just a little bit of goodness is still evident. He says that's when the avodah comes from this world, from this realm, this lower realm, then that's the main pleasure as well. That's why that his das will remain in this world too. that it will illuminate for the dwellers of this low world. Because when his mind, his seichel, remains in this world through a ben or a talmud, it's considered as if he himself, mamish, has remained in this world. And it is said, it says, Menachem Yenagim, said Nosson writes, as the Bershe Kamak Doilim, that there were few great tzaddikim. Each one did and corrected and fixed what he did. And when he passed away, whatever he wanted to do is finished. Baal Shem Tov, all the Doilim, whatever it is, when they were done, they were done. He says the illumination that is das with that they shine into their students, and brought people closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu. But afterwards, when they passed, the main illumination, ceased, wasn't as powerful as when they were alive. But Nachman Rabbeinu says we have to do something that will never end. That will continue, that the people, that the Talmidim will already make Talmidim, and that Talmidim will make Talmidim, and Kach Le'olam. And he says, and I heard from him that those who are close to us, Rabbeinu says, that they should shine into those who are close to them, their students. And every single person has to do an action that to illuminate by his friend and his friend from his friend, because they are like branches from the tree. There's the main trunk, you have branches. From the branches, are split small branches, more branches. And more. That's what he said. He says, Ha'esh shali, my fire will be lit forever. And it says, it will never, says, my fire my fire will continue burning until Mashiach will come. As we see today. B'ezrat Hashem, where next week we will continue, we will learn how every person can do this. You say, okay, I don't know, the Nosson Lieberman can do it. Okay, fine. Dali Kenya can do it. Fine. But how can I do it? I myself don't understand what I'm saying. How can I? We will learn, but Hashem, next week we will learn how a person, each and every person can do it. The Tachas L'Maisa, we can finish from this, is the main das, as we will learn later on in the story. Rabbeinu says that Ika Yedia Shalom Neido, that the apex of knowledge is when you know that you don't know. We'll get to it. We'll explain it when we get to it. Which means, besides, what does it mean according to, as the Rebbe says later on, about Makif and different things. What we need to know that the Ikar Adas is in this world is to know that Hashem Elokim when we don't know.
That's why.
When we don't know. I look at myself and what it is I'm capable of doing, and what it is I'm not capable of doing. That's one problem. Second thing, what it is I'm capable of doing and I'm still not doing. That's another problem. And then what did I do throughout my life? And how many people I hurt? And how many I've various things? I'm not talking just, in the olden days before I even knew the Yiddish guy, but after. And I kept on piling on. So what gives? I says, I don't know. But the main avodah is that I keep on keeping on even when I don't know. Even when, according to, if you ask me, don't ask. You ask me about somebody like me, I said, don't ask. Do me a favor, mum's the word. The less we talk about it, the better. You don't want to know. All right? Just Let's just leave it at that. Then, when you don't know, that's the main joy and pleasure of Kodesh Baruch Hu. You don't know. According to your, balancing a checkbook. You see in the minus, how are you going to get out of it? That's it. It's finished. Ika ayidiyah shalom neido. Sarah Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's the main das that we have to keep on keeping on. Now, of course, the das upon das upon das, but this here on Thursdays is a survival course. It's for people like me who don't know what the heck they're doing. How are we going to get out of this mess, whatever? Yes, that's what Kodesh Baruch Hu wants. This is Avodas Hashem. We call this Avodas Hashem. Look at this one. Look at him. He knows Tashul Chanoch. He knows the Bavli, Yerushalmi. He knows Kitzur Arizal. He knows everything. Oh, he's somebody in that. You. Somebody is totally dubbing because Baruch Hu, day and night, whatever. Oh, him, yeah. You. No. Dafka you. Dafka. That's our minimum. Now, Baruch Hashem, Pesach, and tonight, Baruch Hashem, we counted Yom Echad Omer, Baruch Hashem, and now, Pesach night, we receive all the lights, Seder, all the lights in one shot. That's how HaKadosh Baruch Hu took Am Yisrael from Mitzrayim. Because without this, there was no way to do it. Now, say by day, all these tremendous hours, all the lights were taken away. Now we have to rebuild it from scratch. Without getting the horror of all the 49 gates, the 15 gates is Shavuos. But all the 49 gates, we got everything in one shot. Otherwise, no way you get out in time. In time, we were steeped in 49 gates of Tumah. So we couldn't get out, to get the light, all of them. Now, but that's not Chochmah. There's no Chochmah. As we say, the main glory of Kodesh Baruch Hu is when it comes down from here. So when the light comes from above, fine, then you can come out. But then, you fall right back in. The main thing is it has to come from below. What they call Isarusa del Tasa, the awakening from below has to start from here. That's what Sfiras Omer is about. Sfiras Omer today is Chesed Chesed. How do you behave with Chesed Chesed? The going is good, and you have, you're getting a lot of Chesed, and you're feeling like Chesed. Everything is. How do you behave with that? So Rabbi said, "Yikar Rachmanis, who to have Rachmanis, not to have Rachmanis, how to behave." Kodesh Baruch Hu should help us with Hashem. We should have Zat Hashem our Git Moyed and the continuation of Chag Kosher V'Sameach. And Zat Hashem, good Shabbos, staying here. Let's just turn this off.